Procrastination. Let's meet procrastination now in this guided wisdom well meditation. Let's meet your procrastination. Let's meet the procrastination that is a very common and sometimes very difficult, painful feeling of being stuck that causes a contracted heaviness, a tightening, a frustration, a disappointment in self, an anger, an irritation, embarrassment, anxiety. All of these can arise when we don't meet procrastination to look at it with wisdom. So I invite you now, let's take this little journey together. Let's build a wisdom well for procrastination. And to start with building our wisdom well, we must be prepared to get our hands in the dirt. And what that gently means is taking a moment to feel into procrastination, to not try be spiritual, but simply to be with whatever is true. When you experience procrastination, when we feel its taste, you wanted to do something, you set your mind on it, you set your heart on it, you found a yes, and then it was time. It was time to take action. It was time to make a decision. And you hit a wall. You found yourself substituting, avoiding, coming up with other things to do. You find yourself mulling over, spinning in circles. You find yourself dismissing, minimizing. All of these dances are a dance around procrastination. They show up for each of us in a different way. How does it show up for you? Be kind, be compassionate, and simply notice. How does procrastination show up for me? Does procrastination show up as a wall, a pushback, a kind of grr? Does it show up as a dance of masking, avoiding, pretending? Does it show up as anxiety and spinning in the mind of overthinking? Does it show up heavy? Does it show up as light distraction? How does it show up for you? Kindly, gently notice. I see you. I see you, procrastination. And today, instead of pushing you away, instead of making you an enemy, we're going to try something different. And we're going to welcome procrastination into the space by first being willing to be a little uncomfortable, to get our hands in the dirt, so to speak. I see you. I feel you, procrastination. When procrastination arises, notice and use your imagination. What happens in the felt sense of your body? What happens to your body posture? What happens to the way you process thoughts, the way you feel? Just pause and notice. Not trying to change anything, not trying to judge. Just simply noticing, when procrastination shows up, that's the felt sense of it. That is the response. When procrastination shows up, if it had a voice, what might it say? Use your imagination. How does procrastination usually speak if it becomes thoughts? Perhaps it says, I am not enough. Perhaps it says, what if I choose the wrong thing? Perhaps it says, I don't want to be overwhelmed. Perhaps it says, I am tired. Perhaps it says, I don't want to. What is the tone? What is the voice of this part of you? This part of you that belongs. Now we send a bucket into our wisdom well. And one of the most reliable buckets we have is to set an intention. How does wisdom see this? Being willing, wanting to discover. How does wisdom see procrastination? You know how your mind sees it. You know how you meet it with frustration and disappointment. Let's discover how wisdom meets procrastination. Wisdom is true seeing and true being. It has the texture and the song of opening. Wisdom opens that which is closed and contracted. So we set our intention now to see procrastination through our true eyes, through true being and true seeing. Being willing to discover, not being sure, not holding an agenda or an expectation, being interested, being sincerely curious, wanting to know. How does wisdom see procrastination? And then we imagine that we're sending that bucket down, and the felt sense of that is bringing attention into the body, into the chest area, the stomach area, willing to be present, and then inviting, as if wisdom is in the air around us, and imagining that by breathing in, we invite, that we are inviting this deeper, truer seeing, that the breath is a way to invite and to tune in, that the breath is a metaphor, that the breath is permission, and we set an intention while we breathe, to breathe in the deepest truth, to breathe in wisdom, true seeing and true being. How might wisdom see this? And we notice first the possibility of more openness, that even before understanding necessarily, notice what happens to the felt sense in your body and in your mind when you have invited wisdom, as if we are changing radio stations, as if we are resonating and connecting with the resonance of wisdom, and that this helps to open, to relax. How does wisdom see and experience procrastination? And that is how we start to fill the bucket, how we open to wisdom. As we sit in this more open space with this felt sense of a depth, of being more present, and we just become available to this seeing and this being, this knowing, this wholeness that is the true self with its true seeing. Procrastination. Feel how wisdom feels towards this part of you that speaks for something, this part of you that shows up to bring something forward, that procrastination isn't somewhere over there, that it is here inside of this loving, open space. You be this loving, open space for procrastination, and perhaps feel these words as if you are speaking to your procrastination. I'm sorry I could not see you. I see you now, willing to see this part of you. What has this part of you been trying to speak for that's valid? That perhaps it's been trying to protect, Perhaps it's been trying to rest. Perhaps it's been speaking for something you need or want. Perhaps it's saying, I wanted clarity. Perhaps it's saying, I wanted to know that I was good enough. Perhaps I wanted safety. What does this part of you want that's valid? And imagine thanking this part of you, thanking procrastination. Thank you, procrastination, for trying to bring me this. I see you now. I hear you now. What happens to procrastination when you're willing to see it, willing to hear it, and perhaps even willing to love it for doing its best? Notice what's happening inside of you. Noticing any change or difference. Perhaps we say to procrastination, you belong, you belong. And we notice what happens when we let procrastination belong, when we bring it close and we invite the deepest truth. What is the deepest truth? Maybe it wanted the best for us and just did the best it could with what it had. And maybe we have deeper resources now. Maybe we see a little deeper. And noticing the deepest wisdom, procrastination is in me like a song. I am not in procrastination. It rises and it falls. And what is the felt sense of this deepest openness? And what happens to procrastination when you bring this open, clear, true seeing and being to procrastination with love? And maybe in that openness is rest, and maybe in that openness is flow. And once we find the openness of wisdom, whether it is felt or whether it is translated into understanding, we draw that bucket to the surface to drink. And we breathe in and we feel and notice the change and how wisdom feels in the body. Not as some grand thing, but as an ordinary, peaceful opening. As if we can be more present, as if we can be more equal to, as if we can embody our true seeing and our true being more easily. And how does this true being and true seeing meet procrastination? What happens to our body posture? What happens to our breath? What happens to the very seeing of the same situation? How do we meet these parts of ourselves with love and with deep wisdom? And next time you feel the habit of procrastination or you feel the contraction of procrastination, how might you meet it with some of what you have drawn from your wisdom well today?